Okay, David, you seem to be the one of our first LiveO2 customers that got a positive test for COVID. So do us a favor and tell everybody what it's been like to have a combination of LiveO2 and COVID at the same time.
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, I got tested positive for COVID. The actual test was about 9 days ago, so which means I probably had it for maybe 13, going on 14 days when I first started feeling some symptoms. Um, so yeah, with being a LiveO2 user, I jumped on it pretty quickly. So I really hit it hard. The first couple of days I was doing 2 sessions a day, and then I started feeling much better, and then cut back to 1 session a day, and that's what I've been doing the last few days. And yeah, I feel really good. When I was doing sessions, I was pulling up phlegm um, from some congestion that I had, and then also, um, I had a little bit of a cough, and that cough has continued to improve and improve every day. And I never had I was able to avoid having a temperature.
Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, so like your peak, like if you have a normal flu, let's call that a 10, how bad it gets. How bad did this flu or, this episode go to while you're having LiveO2? So like your maximum discomfort through the whole experience.
Well, I was away traveling and I had my test when I got back. And so I felt the worst when I was away, like the day before I got back. And then that was probably on a 4 or 5 scale. And then when I got here, I really started going hard with LiveO2. And I'd probably say that second day when I was really hitting LiveO2 was probably down to a 3. And then ever since then, it's probably been 2-1, 2-1, and now it's a 1. So yeah, I'd say before I started doing my sessions is probably when I felt worse, and then just has gradually improved.
Okay, so when you have a normal flu, so the other dimension is, how bad do you feel, and then how long does it last?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an opinion about, how long or how fast is your recovery now that you're training compared to what you think it would have been normally?
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it, in terms of what I've had in the past, I would say that, you have that lingering cough, congestion, you don't feel like doing anything. I think with doing LiveO2, I probably pulled a bunch of that stuff up, which helped me with my chest congestion. And also, I think just the clear-headedness, because usually you have a little bit of a brain fog and a little bit of a headache, kind of a body ache. And it seems like after I would do my sessions, I would just feel after pulling some phlegm up, that sort of body achiness would kind of dissipate, and I would have some energy where I felt really good and clear-headed. And of course, when I wake up the next morning, some of that would be back. So it seems like I would just gradually chip away at that and keep from kind of falling into the abyss and going back in by continuing to do sessions. And that's why I was doing it twice a day initially, because I felt like I needed to. And then within 2 or 3 days, I was just doing it once a day. But even through all this, I mean, I was completely operational. Having COVID, I stayed quarantined. But if I had to work or if I had to go out and function normally, I could have been fine doing it, and nobody probably could have been able to tell that I was not feeling well, just because I was, I think, staying on top of it with LiveO2.
Okay, so you've seen our I'll call it respiratory recovery page and the information that I present there regarding, the process of respiratory recovery and how training on LiveO2 overcomes the blockage in the lungs, the mucus covering. So now that you've lived through this experience, can you give me some feedback on the accuracy of the information I put forward in that page, which is that by training, and what I said basically is by training on LiveO2, you overcome the asphyxiation effect and loss of energy that happens because of the lung injury. Now that you've lived it,
Yeah.
give me your opinion on how accurate that information is.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really accurate. I think one mistake that people make with LiveO2 is that, and you hear this a lot, is that it seems like people will say, well, I'm not feeling well, so I just need to get on there and breathe some oxygen. And I think that's not the right way to go. And from my experience I just had this week, is you got to do like a regular session. You got to do the low oxygen and the high oxygen, because it seems like it creates that momentum and push where it really can go down and pull things out. And so I would say that when I was doing my sessions, just the fact that that junk that was in there, it was like coming up, I was getting it out. So instead of me having to linger with all that stuff over days and days and days and feeling that phlegm in and out, I was just getting rid of it. It was coming up and I was kind of, spitting it out afterwards. And I think that really accelerated the process. So yeah, I think what you put on the page, breaking that, I think you put it the mucous membrane, being able to break that barrier. I think you have to do a LiveO2 session with some gusto to really make that happen, because that was my
Yep.
experience is don't feel like you just have to sit down and breathe oxygen. I just don't think that does near as much as doing a regular session and just going after it and just pulling that stuff out. It takes some pressure to do that.
Right. Well, the model is, of course, that you need the respiratory pressure swings, on the inhale to pull the carbon dioxide not only out of the blood, but to draw it across the mucus barrier. And on the exhale, you need to exhale hard to go ahead and push the oxygen through to neutralize or overcome the gas transfer inhibition that you get from the extra mucus. So thanks for the confirmation there.
Yep.
One of the other questions people may have, is like, hey, was this really quote COVID? Would you, I know you had the positive diagnosis, and just explain, to the audience who you were exposed to that also had, how do you feel you got it, so that there's a higher level believability to, the legitimacy or confirmation of the infection.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure how I got it. I have an aunt, and one of her best friends, her best friend got it in Mississippi, and then my aunt got it. They're older and they have some immune compromised situation. So I was pretty worried about them because I did have an uncle that died of COVID back in August. And in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, man, if I could have got him on LiveO2 in the early stages, I think it would have made a big difference. He probably still would have been here in my mind. So when I found out that they had tested positive for COVID, I said, look, I'll be down there tomorrow. I'm gonna go down there. I'm gonna put you through some treatments. And I took them my original system, that I have. And so I took it down there. I trained them on it, and I knew, that was a bit of a risk with COVID, but I'm like, it's important that they get it and they start breathing oxygen and doing LiveO2 sessions with a positive and a negative. So I did that, and I'm pretty sure that's probably where I got it, even though I didn't show any signs of anything until probably 4 or 5 days later. That's probably where I got it. And they started doing sessions, and now one of them's fully recovered and the other one's on the upswing as well. So I think definitely had an impact on their health, and they're 67 and 72, I think. So you worry about older people, when they get it. But yeah, that's how I got it. I'm pretty sure. And then here, my wife got it, and then also my son. He's here, but I don't think he got it. He seems fine. He tested negative. So yeah, just been quarantining ever since.
Has Karen's experience been any different than yours in terms of a recovery?
Yeah, hers is a little different because she has some other health issues. So she had a fever, and she hasn't really had any breathing or lung stuff. Hers has all been other stuff, and hers has been more of because she has some autoimmune issues, and so her breathing's been fine, and she's been doing sessions every day also. So I always ask her, like, how's your breathing, how's your lungs? And she always says that's not a problem. My breathing's fine. She doesn't have the congestion that I had, but hers is different. So she's just been tired and sleeping a lot, and then doing her sessions every day. But she feels good the last couple of days, and so I was definitely had my COVID experience was less than hers, and of course I was doing more sessions and was on it much quicker than she was. But yeah, she's on the upswing now. Is feeling good, and just making sure that she's doing her sessions along with me. So that's it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else to add?
No, that's it. If you got a system and you got COVID, just get on it right away as fast as possible and do the whole thing, man. Don't take it easy.